What's going on, champs and chambettes? It's FireMonkey here, and if there's one question I have for Epic Games, if I just sit down with an Epic Games employee and be like, hey, why are you guys actually doing this? It would have to be the changes they've been making to the loot pool, the changes they've been making to items over the past season or two, and how weird it feels to see items that were designed to do a specific purpose being nerfed to the point where no one's picking them up for that purpose anymore, because it's like that purpose never even existed. And this all relates to damage to structures. As you guys know, around like a season ago, or maybe even this season, who knows how long it was ago, Epic Games nerfed grenades. They also nerfed the heavy sniper rifle, making it so grenades and the heavy sniper did a lot less damage to builds. It honestly made grenades in a very useless spot where it's like, before, it makes sense, you're able to deal some damage, you were able to actually eliminate some people with grenades, but now it's like, even if you tried eliminating yourself with a grenade intentionally, it would take like a whole entire stack and a half or something, right? Obviously that's exaggerated, but not too much, because it honestly would just take so much damage to yourself and so much just kind of waiting for the grenades to explode before you actually manage to even harm yourself or get close to it with grenades after the change. And then heavy snipers, a weapon made to destroy builds and everything, can't destroy wooden builds anymore. It couldn't destroy like any builds. It had nerfed so much that it was just like, okay, this is to deal damage if you get, the lucky headshots or whatever else on an enemy, and it was still good at damaging enemies, but in terms of it damaging builds, that application of it just basically went out the window. It didn't exist anymore. And those things alone being changed, I wouldn't think too much about it. I'd be like, okay, this kind of sucks here and there, just like me taking fall damage for no reason. But it's like, the weapon still is a weapon at the end of the day. It's still dealing damage to others. So it's like, we still have one purpose of it. But then they decided to go ahead and nerf a weapon that was designed with the main purpose of destroying builds, right? And what was that weapon? Oh, well, it was pretty simple, it was the Breacher shotgun, the weapon that has been known to one-shot literally everything in the game. They nerfed that so it couldn't one-shot things anymore, right? It still did some damage here and there, of course, but it couldn't do as much damage as it did before. It was nerfed to the ground, basically, to the point where, like, I never pick it up in games, right? If I even roll the, the exotic little, like, augment or whatever that gives you a random heisted weapon, and it gives me the heisted Breacher shotgun, I'm more likely to drop it on the ground for a uncommon drum shotgun, or any of the uncommon shotguns in general, just because I feel like I'll do more damage and I'll get more use out of an uncommon weapon than I would the Breacher shotgun because of these changes. Well, they didn't just stop there, right? Of course, they waited a little bit of time before doing any more changes, but they've continued to nerf this very weird build-breaking meta by making it so the explosive repeater, the newest weapon in the game, has already received a nerf, making the damage to builds 40% lower than ever before. And I know that sounds like a lot, so what we're going to do here is break this a little bit. You see how that's at 550? We're going to walk away because the damage doesn't matter regarding distance. We're going to shoot it once, and it does around like 56 damage, right? It did around 56 right there. We can shoot it twice, 3 times, all that type of stuff. And it's like, it still does a decent amount of damage, but there's no way it has the same pack-a-punch power that it had before because of the 40% nerf. And imagine how different it was with the 40% nerf. I mean, even when, we had the 40% bonus damage in the game and everything else with this weapon, I still hardly ever really use it, to be completely honest here, because like it's not the snipers that it tries to be. It's none of that stuff. Sure, it can try to be a sniper, sure, it can replace the heavy sniper slot, but it's just not the same. And I get that, they want to have a new loot pool, they want to mix up things so that's a little bit more unique or whatever else, but at the same time, it just isn't hitting right. It just feels like they released a weapon that could have been so much more than what it is, and they decided to already nerf one of the weapon's main features, which is the ability to break other structures. And it's just weird because, like, let's do a test here. If I shoot this once, right, we did around like 20-30 damage or whatever. Shoot this once, it probably didn't do too much damage at all. It didn't even pop up like a number or anything, but we shoot it here with this, and of course, it's, you can't even see damage numbers anymore, but it's like, if I just spam a shotgun, right, sure, it's going to waste some more ammo, sure, it's going to do all that stuff, but I feel like I'm getting more of an effect out of it than if I was to shoot with the explosive repeater, right? It just feels like the explosive repeater rifle is just getting treated poorly. It feels like every weapon that explodes, if it has explosion in the name, or it's designed to break stuff, it feels like Epic Games has been like, you know what? No explosions allowed. No breaking of buildings, none of that. You're not allowed to do that, okay? You have to go back and you have to use it specifically to damage enemies. You're not allowed to destroy structures with this weapon. And it's like, I've tried damaging enemies with other weapons in the game. Like, you know, especially the explosive repeater, it feels like the explosion radius is kind of finicky. It feels like whenever an explosion should actually hit an enemy, it doesn't hit them. The breacher shotgun, it's like, okay, you have to have like pinpoint accuracy on the enemies there because it shoots literally one bullet out of the shotgun and it doesn't even one-shot an enemy or anything like that. Like, you know, it can't even one-shot builds. It used to be able to, but no matter what, it's never been able to one-shot an enemy. You have different weapons out there like the heavy sniper rifle, which now, instead of being able to do a lot of damage to anything, just does a lot of damage to enemies once you get the actual, you know, headshots off on them. But of course, the heavy sniper has been vaulted, so the only place you can even get it right now is in the, oh my god, it's a lot of raptors, Jesus. But the only place you can get it is in Team Rumble from supply drops, and the odds of you actually getting it are super low. And then of course there's grenades. Those have always existed in the loot pool. It feels like grenades have always been your, Jesus, please leave me alone. This is a Jurassic Park recreation, please. Oh my god. Hold on, no, please get out of here. Thank you. Oh my god. Whew. Anyways, like I was saying, you know, it's like we have grenades. Those have always basically existed. I don't think they've ever really been vaulted, you know, the base grenade, but no one really wants to use them anymore because they can't do anything. They can't damage people. They can't damage builds. They're just something to throw to make explosive sounds so you can be like, listen to the boom boom. And it's weird to see them nerfing explosives when we have a cybertron cannon in the game that serves the main point of exploding absolutely everything and obliterating stuff, right? And if there's anything I can tell you based on the cybertron cannon alone, it's I love exploding stuff. I love going to a building, charging up the cannon, going boom, watching as the whole entire building gets crumbled down to the ground because I decided to, you know, use the cannon on it. And it's fun. It has infinite, you know, ammo regeneration. It has all that type of stuff, and it's the best weapon in the game for exploding things, which is funny to say because other things in the game, such as, you know, the explosive repeater, such as grenades, such as, you know, like the breacher shotgun, the things that are made to break builds, they don't break builds. The only weapon that is good enough at breaking builds anymore is the collaboration weapon that's going to be leaving next season anyways. So it's like, why do they keep making these changes? If they don't want this whole entire meta of builds being broken or, you know, explosives exploding things, why do they keep nerfing that type of stuff while keeping in a weapon designed to do the exact purpose of that stuff that they added this season? It just doesn't make sense to me. I know it got a little bit heated towards the end of this video, but it truly is just something that I, you know, gotta be passionate about because I like exploding things in the game. I think it's fun to do that, and I think grenades, when they were in their old state, because they had never really been nerfed before, I feel like they were perfectly fine before, right? You know, people didn't really use them too often even back then, but when they were used, you know, if you were strategic with it, you could get some major damage off, and you would be able to get some good eliminations. However, now it's just like, nope, none of that even exists anymore. If you want the good eliminations and stuff with grenades, you can toss them after you've done headshot of the enemy or something like that, you know, toss it in their boxes and try to build up or something to get that last bit of damage done, but they're nowhere near where they were before, and it's just a shell of its former self, and these changes and stuff, right? Of course, this video was originally just supposed to be focused on the explosive repeater, but these changes just don't make sense to me, and I wish there was some form of communication regarding why Epic Games is making these changes, because we've seen it with other games before, where they'll be like, you know, based on how this fits into the current loot pool, and I think even Fortnite used to do this, where they'd be like, we're making this specific change because, you know, what we're trying to achieve here is this specific thing, and this doesn't play into how we want the loot pool to be right now or something like that. You know, anything would be better than what we've currently gotten, which is just, hey guys, we decided to make a change here today. These things are nerfed. I hope you enjoy. Peace out. See you next week, right? It's like, we just don't get any information at all. And, you know, I understand that Epic Games can't probably tell us every single thing they do. They can't be like, oh, we're making this, and this change because of this, and this reason, because, you know, maybe they want to keep some of their secrets and stuff. Maybe there's an exploit or something. They don't want that to be publicly known. But at the same time, I wish we just had some form of more communication regarding some of these changes, because I don't get why they have such a hate raid towards these specific items. I don't get why they don't want explosives to explode or buildings to be destroyed, especially items that were originally designed for that purpose, and why the only item that doesn't get nerfed at all, right? It does not get touched at all, is the seasonal collaboration item, which serves the same purpose as everything else that they're trying to get rid of. It just doesn't make sense to me, right? And it's going to suck next season once we get rid of that item and we have to deal with a loot pool that might not even have anything that is worthwhile to pick up when it comes to breaking structures and everything down, right? Of course, you could probably use a vehicle. Like, imagine, even if we had cow catchers, that would be better than what we currently have, right? You know, even if we had cow catchers, I would prefer that over having a cybertron cannon if they really wanted to, because you could still break builds and stuff with it. You could plow through tons of buildings and have fun with it that way, and you wouldn't have to worry about all too much. It just feels like there's some like vendetta Epic Games has against their own changes to the game and everything, where if you want to have Fortnite original items and you want them to be, you know, this specific purpose or whatever, that's okay for the first week of it, and then you can't have that anymore. But if you want a collaboration item to do what the collaboration item does that you've always wanted the normal item in the loot pool to do, oh, go ahead. You could have that with infinite ammo recharge as well, right? It just doesn't make sense. But then again, maybe I'm just a grumpy little baby whining about something that doesn't really matter. I'd love to hear in the comments down below what everyone else thinks about all these changes. What do you feel when it comes to, you know, everything Epic Games has been doing to the loot pool, especially to explosive items? Do you just not care? Do you care and want to see Epic Games start being more, you know, like, up front with the changes they're making? Or are you somewhere in between where you're like, you know, whatever happens, happens. It's easy peasy, mimo, whatever, you know, they want to do, they can do. It's their game at the end of the day. You know, we're going to continue playing no matter what. It's just interesting to see all these different changes happening. And, you know, I feel like complaining is just the right thing to do sometimes. So that's what I'm going to do. With that said, however, hope champs and champions have a wonderful rest of your day. We have an update in a few days, so that's going to be fun to see whatever they end up adding. If they add a new weapon or something, I do remember they were working on a new pistol at one point, and we will catch champs and champettes with that next video. Like the video if you liked it, dislike if you didn't like it, and I am going to, you know, ramble about the explosive repeater to my close friends even more in the private DMs. Peace out.